So I'm holding a Skillshare today on 5 reasons why UX will boost your business. And I think we're recording this live on Facebook, so Hayley would prefer if you ask questions later on. I would prefer if you ask questions during the talk, because then it's a bit more engaging, interactive. So, just ask whenever, and I will just repeat whatever you ask, so that the people, if anybody watches on Facebook, hear it. Right, now where did I put that clicker thingy? So maybe a little bit why I'm talking about this. I have a company called CareerFoundry and the UX School, and we are an online training company for user experience, as well as for web development, iOS, and user interface. We are 3 years old and have trained 27,000 people in the last 3 years from 85 countries worldwide. We've raised $6 million to date dollars, and we are 50 people in Berlin, and we have another 5 in the US. So it's a really global business, which is cool. People access the site from anywhere in the world. And what is special, and I'll come to that, is we offer people a job guarantee. So we say, if you go through this training and you do not find a job within 6 months after finishing, we pay you the money back. And we do that. It hardly ever happens, to be honest, because the program is A, really good, and B, I think we're attracting the right kind of people. And both UX and web development are so in demand that those people who really come out of the program, they're just very valuable on the job market. Right, and these are the courses we have. We have the web and iOS courses. These are 6 months long. Then we have a UX fundamentals course, which takes just 1 month for those people that want to do it very fast and don't have that much time. Then we have UX immersive course that takes 10 months. And we have UX specializations. So this is for people who already have some UX knowledge. And for example, we are currently in the process of building a UX for voice recognition technology course with Amazon, Alexa, and a conversion rate optimization course with the Global Optimization Group. And we're working on lots of specializations that really go deeper for more experienced professionals. And in March of this year, we launched the UX School, which is a sub-brand of my company, CareerFoundry. And the UX School is more a community, and we say it's a movement in human-first design. And what it really is, it's a community, and we provide training, and we also do thought leadership. And one of the things we've done to start the UX School was we asked 60 of the world's top UX experts worldwide what they would say the return on invest of UX is. And we took sort of their learnings, their experiences, their best examples, and put it into one big report. And I'm going to talk about this, because this is basically what this talk centers on. Remember that the topic of the talk is 5 reasons why UX will boost your business. And basically by doing that work, the ROI of UX work, we found out lots of really amazing statistics, how UX can really benefit business, what exactly it does, what exactly what €1 that's invested in UX will actually yield and actually results into. Right, so before we're going actually into it, is there anybody who does not know what UX is?
I didn't know, and I looked it up before this thing started.
So not everybody knows. And it's valid, right? Because UX is a young field, and it's user experience, design, but it actually has nothing to do with design per se. So lots of people think it's about making buttons nice or choosing the right color, but that's not necessarily what UX is. UX is much more about creating an experience. So if you think about us here, like Edu could also just have us stay here without all of the evening programs, right? But what they're doing with all of the evening programs is they're creating an experience that's extraordinary, that we go away and say wow, that was really a fab community. And that's experience, right? So it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with design, but it's, you don't just have the product, it goes the experience goes beyond the product. Edu's product is a co-living space, but the experience here goes much, much further, right? We're all really getting to know each other, we're sharing something, we're spending time together outside of it. And that's
taking me to the dentist.
Yeah, exactly. He's taking people to the dentist, driven them to the car rental. It's really the experience really is more like a family than just a hotel, right? And that's what makes this place special. So, and this is what we try with user experience, for all kinds of industries, that we say, we don't want to just sell a product, we want to sell a lot around that product. Yeah? Any questions around that? All right, then we'll dive into it. So, number 1, UX fixes costly usability issues. So in the report that we've written, we found out that e-commerce companies in the US alone will be losing out on 1.05 trillion US dollars due to their checkout processes in the e-commerce stores being too complex. So there's, for example, this one example by Jared Spool, who just changed a tiny little bit on a registration, on a sign-up button in the e-commerce store, and that brought a yearly additional revenue of $300 million. What he did was, when you buy on an e-commerce store, you often have to register, right? You have to register first before you can buy. And that is okay the first time you come, but then the second time you come and you want to buy in the shop, you don't know anymore your password. And that, for most e-commerce shops, that actually gets a lot of people to leave the transaction before they buy. And that costs a lot of money. So as said, over $1 trillion will be lost due to that, alone in e-commerce, alone in the US. So if e-commerce shops, in reverse, that means if e-commerce shops manage to do that, to hire UX designers, manage to sort of simplify their checkout processes, they can make a lot of money without really spending much money at all. Number 2, it says UX helps companies understand their customers better. Now, most company owners would say, I understand my customers really well. But the matter of fact is that most companies owners don't. There's so much to know about the modern customer. There's so much more insights we can get from customers today than it was possible even 5-10 years ago. That actually, if you ask deeper, then most company owners realize they actually don't know their customers well enough. And obviously knowing customers really well helps with creating the right product, with creating the right strategies, with just being much smarter about iterating the product. And UX really helps with that, because what UX designers do, there's different specializations within UX, but for example, what they do is a lot of user testing. So they really sit down with customers, they find out what is the motivation of the customer, what is the average persona. A persona basically means, what does the typical customer look like? How old are they? Where do they come from? What background do they have? What did they study, or did they study at all? And do they come from a certain part of the world? And they really drive into the motivations that they have of buying a product, into the dreams, and into really what words do customers commonly use to describe the motivations of wanting a product like that or wanting a service like that. And for example, at CareerFoundry, now this is a personal example, I started the company in 2013, right? And in the first year, I knew the idea was great. I just knew there was a market for this. But in 2013 and in 2014, we had zero growth. Literally month after month, we would have less than 10 customers. Now, at that point, I had already raised $1 million from investors. And obviously, that's a lot of pressure, right? And every month, the investors would be like, why is there no growth? And shout at us. And we would be frustrated, because we knew there was a market, but we just couldn't make it work. And had you asked me in 2013-14 if I knew my customers, I would have told you, of course, because of course we did user testings and we did research groups and all kinds of things, but we didn't do it right. And that's the whole point. We didn't know how to do it right. And that's where UX comes in. How do you ask the right questions? Because what happens typically in user testing sessions is customers or the users tell you what you want to hear. There's a lot of emotional and human biases that humans don't like to make you feel bad. So they tell you what you want to hear. And unless you're trained to ask the right questions, you're never going to get the answers that you want to get. So we weren't trained, we asked the wrong questions, hence we got the biased answers, and hence the company never grew. Then end of 2014, at that point, I was really desperate. We knew basically within 3 months we would have run out of money and had to shut down the company. And because we were desperate, we were willing to actually try something crazy, and we hired a UX designer. And he came on board, it was a freelancer, and did 3 months of intensive customer development, as they call it. So he made me and my co-founder both talk to 100 customers each, and really we had to note down exactly down to the words of what these customers said, what words they were using. We analyzed that data, or he analyzed that data, and changed how we marketed the product, how we talk about the product, to what motivations we speak on the website. Until today, I still sell the same product as I did in 2013. But when we made the changes that this UX consultant told us to, so just changing the marketing language, we grew 895% within the first month. I grew from less than 10 customers to 100 customers a month within a snip of a finger. It was really amazing, and it really made, and that was the breaking point and made my company what it is today. And that was really also for me the point when I was like, wow, this UX stuff really, really works. This can really be defining from death to survival. And ever since then, we've been huge UX advocates and started to really dive more and more into our UX trainings, because we realized most business owners still don't know what UX is and how it can actually benefit, how it can bring the company from Nokia phone stage to iPhone stage, how it can. And often we say, if people say, what is the difference, or what is even UX? And we say UX is the difference between Google and Alta Vista, or the Nokia phone and the iPhone, or Facebook and MySpace. So neither Google was the first search engine, nor Facebook was the first social network, and the iPhone wasn't also the first phone, right? But what they had in common was, at the point in time, they provided the best user experience in that vertical, and that's what made them the market leader in that space. And for any space, it is like this today, because customers today don't want to buy just products anymore. I think if you look at all of us here, we don't just want to go to a hotel, right? We want an experience. We want to meet other people. We want to be part of a community. We want to be part of something bigger. We don't just want the living. We want an experience. And that's what Edo's providing, and that's why all of us are here, right? And that was actually already the next point, I think. So the question is, do small businesses could get left behind because they don't have the resources to put money into UX? I think yes. I think totally yes, especially small online businesses. And I think for most businesses, it's a shame because the monetary or the return on invest on UX is actually high. And any business, no matter how small, can afford a freelance UXer, right? But most of them don't, because they don't see the potential, right? But I think when we hired our first UXer, we were a small business. I had less than 10 employees, less than $1 million in revenue, and for us, as said, it brought a huge impact. So I think especially for small businesses, it makes a huge impact. And I would encourage all small business owners to really think about getting a freelancer on board. Can non-profits get more donations through applying UX? Yeah. And I think the answer is totally. Because how we had this example with e-commerce checkout processes at the beginning, causing trillions of dollars to be lost? It's the same for donation processes, especially if it's online donations for non-profits. Because often these donation processes are very, very difficult, like the donation button not working, or that you have to fill out very complicated forms, or that you have to fill in too much information, or that you can't donate from a certain country or with a certain credit card or whatever. Just very, very simple, things that are very simple and very cheap to fix, and then can result in a huge impact for the non-profit and for then ultimately the beneficiary of that non-profit. Yeah, for certain. And actually in the non-profit space, that's the one space where we really don't see enough UXers being used yet. Not even I don't know about Médecins Sans Frontières, but I haven't heard of many big non-profits using UX designers. We do see a lot of the old corporate world, like the automotives of the world, the healthcare of the world, many of the old industries to start realizing this and getting a lot of UX designers. But we haven't seen the charity space yet really come into it. I don't know have you seen charities do it?
Charity's a big problem.
Yeah.
Hard to sell there.
Yeah, for the audience out there, we have a couple of UX specialists here, so it's quite a mixed audience. So I just asked them, and they said, yeah, they agree with that. Yeah, there might be a niche. Who knows? So the fourth. So we're coming already towards the end. The fourth reason why UX can boost your business is that it leads really to the company and the whole organization to think experience over than product. And that leads to the fact that the product is more delightful and that there's no feature creep. What that means is if the whole organization thinks like, how can we not just sell this product that we have, but actually sell something around this, give a lock-in that makes this product the absolute best product to use. If we go back to the example that I keep using, because all of us are obviously part of this community here. So if Sun & Co. only did a living experience and all of us were working here without all of the outside activities, then we would still have a great experience here, right? We would still get along well and so on. And so if we had more companies think like that, then often when companies build products, they think like, oh, what other feature can we add that makes us more competitive than maybe our main competitor? Or and then they start adding lots and lots of features that actually don't make the product better, or that actually don't make the customer want to sell the product or want to buy the product more. It just becomes more like feature creep. It just becomes very heavy and overloaded with lots of potential things they can do, but the customer doesn't necessarily get happier. So UX creates a mindset shift that company owners and builders and creators don't think like feature creep, but they really think like, what is the core experience? What do people really want? And how do I get the customers happy? Not with features, but with really the whole experience. And by thinking that way, I jumped over this one. By thinking that way, what happens is that conversion rates increase, that customer happiness increases. Because customer happiness increases, customer loyalty increases, and ultimately, because of all of these changes, sales increase. So, for example, since 2014, when we had our first UX designer at CareerFoundry, we started doing a lot of UX design. We started because it had worked for us. It had made us successful as a company, as a young startup, and so we decided to invest heavily in UX. And the first thing we did was, especially in the last year, hire one UX designer for every 7 employees. So we have a very high ratios of UX designers to employees. The ideal ratio for us would be 1 to 6 actually. And all of these UX designers, when they started to get to work, they improved the experience of our site for our stakeholders, so for students and for mentors. And in the last year alone, we test customer satisfaction ratings. It's called NPS, Net Promoter Score. So we ask our customers for their Net Promoter Score, for how likely they are to recommend our service to friends every month. And within the last year, our average Net Promoter Score has increased by 280%. So this is a lot within a year. And it wasn't hard. It was just that we invested in UX. And because we have a higher Net Promoter Score, it means we get better reviews on the internet. And it means customers have higher success rates. It means mentors do a better job and feel more heard and feel happier. And it makes the service, the experience of the company altogether better, and has ultimately increased in higher sales and faster growth for us. Right, and the last one is, if companies make UX, or why UX helps boost your company, is if you think UX, you start thinking actually delight. It's no more about what does the highest paid person in the room want, which is how it works in most of the corporate world. It's about what do customers want. And so if you think about if the whole company becomes about what do customers want, the whole company becomes about delight. And delight becomes the number one KPI of the company. And if that happens, if every single employee in a company thinks how can I create delight for our actual customers? Not for the management, not for the people that promote me, but for the customers. And that's how ultimately what should happen in any well-led UX organization. Then the product, just everybody thinking about customer delight, the product will get a lot better than in any other competitor. The experience will get much more encompassing, much more enjoyable, and just much more like, retaining people and pulling people in. And so this is like, I think for me or for CareerFoundry, sort of the number one outcome and success criteria. We want the whole organization to think delight. And this is not so easy, right? Because employees think like, oh, I want to please the manager to get the next promotion. I want to do this and that to be seen as a great team player or whatever. But we're trying to build the whole organizational structures in a way that employees don't need to think that way anymore, but that they can really focus on the customer's experience. And I think as a company owner, and this is really I think, and especially in modern culture, this is really the king discipline, because it's difficult. But I think if we don't do this as companies, we will always be behind our competition. We will never be world leaders, we'll be followers. And if we want to be world leaders, then we have to think that way. We have to think delight for customers first and foremost, and only then everything else, like promotions, like salaries, like whatever. Right, and with that, it's already the end, so I hope you will have some questions. Maybe one last thing before we open up for questions is how can you get involved with us, actually. I hope you did enjoy this. Well, we have a free Facebook community, which is called the UX School, and it's for UX designers, people who are interested in getting into UX, company owners, anybody who's remotely interested. It's a free community. You can just join on Facebook, so check it out. Just search for it, the UX School, and we'll post just interesting articles, research, thought leaderships, jobs, and what's happening in the industry in that community. And the other thing is we offer trainings. So if you're intrigued now and learning about it, so you can check out our trainings. They are on the website www.careerfoundry.com. And also we have, as said, just published a white paper on the return on investment on UX design in March, and you can find that on the website. And that's a really, really great white paper if you're interested in what is the ROI of UX, why should I invest, or how can I convince my boss or my manager to invest in UX. Right, okay, I think that was it. Thanks a lot for your questions. Thanks for listening.